Hello guys, welcome back to the course Thermodynamics. Today we are going to begin with lecture 7 from the course. So into the study of thermodynamics, we have to study about thermodynamic processes. In the last lecture, we talked about how we calculate work for a thermodynamic process, and it can be any thermodynamic process. And then moving on further with the discussion, we calculated the expression for work done in a reversible process and in an irreversible process. So moving further into the topic, we are going to talk in detail today about an isothermal process and how we calculate the work done in the isothermal process. Again, the isothermal process would be also of two types, reversible and irreversible. So just after having a brief understanding of what is an isothermal process, we will be talking in detail about the reversible isothermal process, and I have divided this lecture into two parts. The isothermal irreversible process we will be talking about in the next lecture. So I am Dr. Ritu Johar, your educator from the channel H2O, the A to Z of chemistry, and I hope you are going to enjoy your learning with me. We will be beginning this lecture today with a brief recap of what we have learned about the thermodynamic processes so far and the concepts that are going to be very important for the learning in today's lecture. And then we will be talking about the main discussion, isothermal process and the work in an isothermal process in detail. So let us begin the learning. So we will be starting with the study of the isothermal process from that point of our discussion where we use the word isothermal for first time, and that was in lecture number 4 of thermodynamics. So there we discussed first of all what do we mean by a thermodynamic process, and then we discussed the various types of thermodynamic processes. So a thermodynamic process is that process which brings about the change in the state of the system. So whenever some of the measurable properties of the system they are going to be changed, well, from the initial to the final state, whatever is happening, that we call as the thermodynamic process. And then we discuss the various types of thermodynamic processes, and this we did under two types of classification. The first classification was based according to the state of the system and its interaction with the surrounding, and here the process we classified into isothermal, isobaric, isochoric and adiabatic process, and along with that we discussed what do we mean by a cyclic process also. So here we had a brief understanding into these various types of processes, but it was quite a brief introduction about these processes, and now we are going to begin discussing them one by one in detail. Another type of classification for the thermodynamic processes we did was according to the path of the final state attained. What was the process being performed, how the process was being performed, and here we discussed that we have two types of processes. One is a reversible process and the other is a irreversible process, and this we discussed a bit more in detail in comparison to these processes. We had a proper understanding what do we mean by a reversible, irreversible process, how we differentiate between the two processes, right? So this concept, first of all, this should be very clear to you before we begin with the learning of these isothermal processes. Now the next thing when we will be discussing about this isothermal process that you should be able to understand is what we learned in lecture number 5 from the course. And in lecture number 5 from the course, what we learned was about what is energy, what is internal energy, what are the modes of exchange of energy between the system and the surrounding. So I know what is energy, what are the units of energy. This is something that you have a basic knowledge from your junior classes as well as from your study of physics, and we discussed about that even briefly in that lecture, so I will not be touching that. What I want to discuss again back with you, revise again back with you, is what is internal energy. So internal energy we generally are going to denote it by the letter U according to the IUPAC recommendation, although we can use the letter capital E for that as well. So internal energy is going to be the total energy inherently stored in a system. This is because of the atoms, the ions, the molecules which are present in the system. And here the energy is going to be stored in various forms like potential energy, kinetic energy, nuclear energy, chemical energy, etc. So the sum total of all these energies which are present in the system, we call that as internal energy. An example of kinetic energy of the system would be that the atoms, the ions, the molecules, they are continuously moving. So when they are moving, well, what is going to be the energy because of motion? It will be kinetic energy, right? Potential energy, you all know that the nucleus is positively charged, the electrons, they are negatively charged. So in nature, whenever there is a force of attraction which is naturally existing between two substances to pass of a substance, well, we call that as potential energy. This is what I told you in that lecture number 5. So this means that the attraction which is existing between the nucleons and the electrons, well, that we will be referring to as potential energy. So potential energy is also present in the system. Then we have nuclear energy, the energy between the nucleons itself. Then we are going to be force of attractions between the atoms themselves, which we know as the chemical bonds. So there is a lot of energy which is present in the system because of the presence of these atoms, the ions, the molecules, which sum total we will be calling it as internal energy. Now the absolute value of internal energy we cannot determine because the values of the different types of energies we cannot accurately determine. So what we will be requiring is, what we need is actually only the change in internal energy that is going to be happening in any process. Any thermodynamic process, what we will be always referring to is the change in internal energy that we will be denoting by the sign delta U, because U we cannot determine absolutely. The next thing that we learnt in that lecture was the modes of energy exchange between the system and the surrounding, where we learned about heat and work. So this is something that I've already discussed and I'm just recapping. So anything which is not getting clear with just this small little discussion, please go back to these lectures. I have not changed the number of the lecture purposely, because if you are getting confused about all of these things, you can go back to that particular lecture and watch that. The lecture links, they are given in the description box below the video. Okay, now the heat and work, these are the modes of exchange of energy. We just had an understanding what is heat, what is work in that lecture. Very importantly, what we discussed was throughout the thermodynamic processes, what is the sign convention that we use for heat and work. So I will just go into a brief recap of that. Whenever internal energy of the system is going to increase, well, we are going to denote the heat and work by a positive sign. And whenever the internal energy of the system is going to decrease because of heat and work, we will be denoting that heat and work by a negative sign. What this means is that whenever heat is going to be added to the system, the internal energy of the system will be increased. So whenever heat is absorbed, internal energy of the system is increasing. So we will be denoting Q, the letter with which we represent heat, with a positive sign. Okay, and whenever work is going to be done on the system, again, work in the form of energy is being added to the system. So work done is going to be denoted with a positive sign. Whenever the energy is going to decrease, this means that either the work is being performed by the system, work as a form of energy is going out of the system, right? So we will be representing work with a negative sign, and whenever heat is going to be evolved out, well, we will be representing Q with a negative sign. Okay, so what this means is that in these two processes, when heat is being absorbed or work is being done on the system, the energy of the system is increasing. Internal energy of the system is increasing. So if I represent the initial internal energy of the system as Ui and the final internal energy of the system as Uf, because the internal energy is increasing because of these two processes, we can say that Uf is greater than Ui. So delta U is going to be what? Delta U will be positive. Okay, so delta U is equal to Uf minus Ui. Now what will be happening in this process? Well, Uf is going to be less than Ui, sorry. Uf is going to be less than Ui, because the energy is leaving the system in the form of work or in the form of heat. So what we can say is delta U in this case is going to be negative. I will be talking again about all these sign conventions for internal energy again when we will be discussing very importantly the first law of thermodynamics, but that is going to be after some time. So I just wanted you to have this clear concept over here as well. Okay, so you can understand where delta U is positive and where delta U is negative, where heat is positive, where heat is negative, where work is positive, where work is negative. Okay. The next thing that you have to remember before we can talk about today's lecture, yes, there are so many things from the previous lectures. If you do not know them well, you cannot understand today's lecture. Fine. So that was what we discussed in lecture number 6. And in lecture number 6, what we discussed was pressure volume work. So we divided work into two types of work, pressure volume work and non-pressure volume work. Pressure volume work is that work where the pressure is going to cause a change in volume. And whenever there is going to be some other force which is going to have some other action, well, that is going to be a non-pressure volume work. So there is no change in the volume in the work that is being done. That will be non-pressure volume work. So that is what we have discussed already in lecture number 6. I will not be going into the details of that. What we have to remember is pressure volume work. And here, whenever we will be talking about pressure volume work, we are talking about a gaseous system. So the gaseous system we took as an example was the compression of a gas. As you can see over here in this diagram, we had a piston fitted which was at a higher level. We applied some pressure from outside and the piston moved down. So the volume, initial volume was more, the final volume was less. So the volume decreased, there is a change in volume and work was done. So here we developed an expression for work done, and this is a general expression for work that we found out first of all, which is valid for any type of process, any type of thermodynamic process that you are going to discuss throughout the learning. Well, you can apply this expression, and the expression that we found out was that work, total work done when the volume of the system is going to change from an initial volume to a final volume, well, this is going to be equal to P external into dV, integrating it from VI to VF with a negative sign. So how we developed is something that we have discussed in detail in the last lecture, so please do watch that. Okay, the next thing, from this derivation we came up to the expression for reversible work. The reversible work is reversible process is that process which can be reversed by infinitesimally small change, right? And this is what we discussed while we were talking about lecture number 4, what is a reversible process and what is an irreversible process, and the expression for work we developed that in lecture number 6. Alright, so reversible process is going to occur at an infinitely slow rate in a series of equilibrium steps such that the system and the surroundings, they are always in near equilibrium with each other. And the expression that we developed was that work reversible is going to be equal to P gas into dV, integrating it again from VI to VF with a negative sign in front. Okay, so what this means was that in the reversible process, always what we find is that the external pressure and the pressure of the gas, they are very close to one another. The values are almost similar. So we can say that P external is going to be almost equal to P gas. That is why now this has come over. Okay, so P gas into dV, integrating it from VI to VF with a negative sign is what we have, work reversible. And then we have the irreversible process, the process which cannot be reversed. Once it has started, it is going to retain the end of it very quickly in a very small number of steps. And the expression that we developed for the irreversible work, well, that was minus P external into delta V, the change in volume into the external pressure with a negative sign in front. Well, this is equal to work irreversible. All these negative signs, they are put in front so as to have the work answer that we get from this x values, the multiplication of the pressure and the volume, well, they go in accordance with the sign convention. So this is what we have already discussed. So this is what we have till lecture number 6. And now as we start with lecture number 7, what do we have to learn? First of all, what is an isothermal process? Then we will be learning what is going to be happening in an isothermal process, how do we maintain isothermal conditions. Then we will be seeing what are going to be the modifications of these expressions that we will be having in case of isothermal conditions. Okay, so I hope with this understanding we can now have a very clear conceptual understanding of an isothermal process. So now let us understand what do we mean by an isothermal process. It is going to be that process in which the temperature of the system remains constant during various operations and there is no net change in temperature, that is dT equal to 0. So what this means is that supposedly we have a process that is going on. The initial temperature of the system is 300 Kelvin. Okay, so the temperature final should be also what? 300 Kelvin. So when you are going to do a delta T, which will be T final minus T initial, it will come up as 0. Right? So this will be equal to 0. This is what we mean, that there is no net change in temperature. The initial temperature and the final temperature, they are remaining the same. But another thing that you have to remember is that the temperature of the system should remain constant. Constant means what? Constant means that it should not be happening that you start with a temperature of 300. During the process, it goes high to 350 and then comes back by the end of the process to 300. No, this should not be happening. What should happen is if you're starting with 300, throughout the whole process, it has to remain 300 and by the end also it is 300 only. So this is what do we mean by an isothermal process. Okay, so I hope first of all the term meaning is clear to you. Now let us see how we can perform a process under isothermal conditions. When you understand well what is happening, actually you will be able to do all the numericals that can be coming, because the numericals, they can be having different language, different understanding. So the concept should be very clear to you how an isothermal process is actually taking place first of all. Okay, so that I am going to take an experimental setup, and this experimental setup is the same that I took for lecture number 4 when we were differentiating between a reversible and irreversible process as well. So if you have a understanding of that, you will be able to understand what we are talking about very easily. So here what we are done is that we have taken a vessel in which we have taken a gas and we have fitted this with a piston, a frictionless piston, so that it is not going to spend any energy in moving it up and down. On the piston we have put some sand. Okay, so there is going to be some pressure because of the gas, because the gas has some molecules, they are constantly striking the wall of the container, so that is going to be hitting with some force. That force upon unit area, we call that as pressure. So with the same pressure, it is going to be hitting the piston also from inside. And from outside, what is the pressure that we will be having? That we will be having a pressure because of the atmosphere, and we will be also having some pressure because of the sand which we have put on top. And when this piston is not moving, what this means is that the piston is going to be in equilibrium. It is going to be in mechanical equilibrium, where the pressure outside is going to be equal to the pressure inside. And how you can calculate it? Well, one thing is that you are given that this much is the external pressure. But if you're not given the external pressure, what you will be given is pressure of the atmosphere. You will be given how much sand is present over here, or it can be any other thing present. Well, it can be some simple waste only present. So whatever is going to be the mass of the substance that is placed on the piston, so that is going to be m. Multiply that by the acceleration due to gravity, mg is going to be the force by which the piston is being pushed downwards, right? So this divided by the area of cross section of the piston, well, this will be giving you the pressure that this sand is putting on the piston from outside. So this pressure plus the pressure of the atmosphere, this is going to be equal to the external pressure, and this is going to be equal to the pressure of the gas when the piston is in equilibrium, when the piston is not moving. Okay, so I hope first of all this is clear to you. For your numericals, you have to have each and everything very clear to you people. All right, now the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to establish an isothermal process where the temperature of the system should not change. Right, now this system is having some temperature. Okay, so it is going to be some temperature at which this system is present, so let that be a Ti. So now this temperature, this has to remain constant. How are we going to do that? First of all, understand that now. So I have, first of all, this vessel such a way that the walls of this container, well, they are conducting. What this means is that heat energy can enter in or it can leave the container very easily when the walls, they are conducting. Okay, now what we are going to do is we are going to put this system, our experimental setup, into a water bath which we will be maintaining at a constant temperature and at a temperature which is going to be equal to the temperature of the system. Okay, so the temperature of this water bath is also supposedly now Ti. This is also at a temperature of Ti. Okay, so this is what we have as a temperature now. Now, what we are going to do is, well, we are going to remove some sand from here. When we remove some sand from here, what will happen? Well, the pressure of the gas inside is going to increase from the pressure outside, because you have removed some sand. So the sand was exerting some pressure. Now the pressure, because of the sand, whatever amount we have decreased, we have decreased it by a small amount or a large amount. Well, that will be what we will be classifying it when we will be talking about the reversible and irreversible. I am talking in general that we have removed some sand from here, and when we remove that, the pressure of the gas, this exceeds the external pressure. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now, what this means is that when the pressure of the gas is going to be more, well, the piston is going to be moving up. Okay, so this is going to be a difference in pressure, and the pressure, this is going to put some pressure on the piston now, so that the piston moves up till again the pressure of the gas, this becomes equal to the external pressure. Okay, now what this means is when the piston has moved up, well, it is going to be an expansion that is going to happen. And when an expansion is going to be happening, well, this is going to be work done by the system. Work by the system. Okay. And what do you know about work done by the system? What is the sign convention for that? Well, we have a negative sign for that. A negative sign means what? Well, that the energy of the system, or you can say delta U, is going to be negative over here. The internal energy of the system is decreasing. When the internal energy of the system now this decreases, well, this is going to cause a cooling effect. Okay, so when it is going to be the system's energy is decreasing, this causes a cooling effect. Okay, now the system's energy can decrease either in the form of heat going out, or it can be in the form of work going out. You can understand it better in the form of heat if I give you the example of that when it is very hot outside, when we all sweat a lot. Okay, so that the temperature of the body can be maintained. So with that sweat, what is going out is the heat energy of the body. And when that sweat evaporates, when what is what it causes a cooling effect. So what you have to remember is whenever the energy of the system is decreasing, this causes a cooling effect. What this means is that the temperature of the system is decreasing. Okay, so imagine now that the system's temperature has decreased. Fine. When the system's temperature will decrease, well, say that this is now not T final, okay, because the temperature has to remain. So just for a moment, when the piston was going up, when the temperature was decreasing. When the temperature was decreasing, now you know is that the wall is conducting. Okay, the wall is conducting, so the temperature inside is more than the temperature inside is less than the temperature outside. Okay, so temperature inside is less than the temperature outside. So what will happen is that heat from outside, Q from outside, will enter into the system. Okay, so heat from outside goes into the system. So heat is going to come in. When the heat is going to come in, again the temperature will increase. Okay, so we will be doing what, we will be allowing the heat to enter in so that the energy of the system again becomes the same. So what this means is that, well, work done by the system, this has decreased the temperature. Okay, and the Q, the heat which is entering in, well, this will increase the temperature in such a way that the temperature remains constant. I hope this is clear. So work done is by the system, so this is negative. Q is entering into the system, so this is positive. Whatever is amount of heat that is entering in, that is what it is being converted into work. So delta U, the change in energy of the system, this will remain constant. Okay, so what you can understand from here is these are some important things that you have to remember, although I will be talking again about all of this when we will be discussing the first law of thermodynamics. But because we are discussing the isothermal process, so these things can be remembered by you people as well. Okay, so here as well, so what have we done over here? Well, work is being done by the system in case of expansion. So here we are expanding. We can also compress the gas by adding some more sand. Okay, in that case the piston will move down. But here what we are doing, first of all, let us talk about that only. So here we are causing an expansion. In this expansion, what is being done is that we have negative work which is being done by the system. This negative work is decreasing the temperature. Okay, so an equal amount of temperature which is being decreased, we are going to increase by adding in some energy to the system. So this will increase the temperature. As a result, delta T will remain constant, and as delta T is constant, so we can also understand, because energy is coming out, equal amount is going out, so delta U is also going to be 0. So delta T is also 0 and delta U is also equal to 0, plus Q is going to be equal to minus W. This is something that has happened in the process. So I hope now this is clear how we maintain isothermal conditions. There can be various other ways to do a process making isothermal conditions. I have given you one example how we can maintain isothermal conditions for a process, and now let us see how we are going to calculate work done in such a process. Now what you all know is from your last lecture knowledge is that work, this is a path dependent function, not a state function. So this is going to depend upon the process that we will be choosing, whether it is a reversible process or a irreversible process. So here again, when we will be talking about the isothermal process, we will be talking separately what happens in a reversible process and what happens in an irreversible process. First of all, let us develop the expression for isothermal reversible work. So the expression that we have for work in general, when we will be having a change in volume from an initial to a final volume, what we said, this expression is P external into dV, the integral from Vi to Vf with a negative sign. Okay, but in case of the reversible work, which is done very slowly, what we say is at every step the external pressure, this is going to be slightly different, a very small change in pressure from the pressure of the gas, such that the external pressure, this is going to be almost equal to the pressure of the gas under any condition, whether it is going to be a compression that is going to be happening or an expansion that is going to be happening. So what we can say is that for a reversible process, well, P external is going to be equal to P gas. How we got this as a complete derivation is what we have already discussed in last lecture. But this is what you have to remember, that in case of a reversible process, because the process is happening very slowly, the external pressure at every step is going to be slightly different from the pressure of the gas. Such a small difference between the two that we can say that the pressure of the gas at equilibrium, this is going to be equal to the external pressure. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So this is the expression that we have for the reversible pressure. Now, because we will be talking over here, whenever we are talking about, we will be talking about an ideal gas. So whenever we have an ideal gas, well, we have already an equation which gives us the pressure of the gas, the ideal gas equation. So from that, what we know is that PV equal to nRT. So here P gas, we have just simply written it as P. So PV equal to nRT, or P is going to be equal to nRT by V. So we can replace the value of the pressure of a gas by nRT by V. Agreed. So we will be substituting the value of this in equation number 1, and what we will be getting is work reversible. This is going to be equal to nRT into dV by V, the integral from VI to VF with a negative sign. So this is going to be work done in a in a reversible process. This is still only a reversible process in case of an ideal gas that is happening. Now what we are going to do is that we have an isothermal process. So isothermal process means that the temperature is going to be constant. Okay, we have taken a gas in a vessel, so we cannot change the amount of the gas. So this means that the number of moles of the gas, they are also constant, and R, this is the universal gas constant, so its value is also constant. So N is constant, R is constant, and T is also constant in case of the constant temperature in case of isothermal conditions. So what we can do is the constant we can take out of the integral. So that let us do that. When we are going to take that, what will be left behind is going to be the integral of dV by V. And when we are going to do that, what we will be getting is the natural log of Vf over Vi. Okay, so I hope you all know the integration, what is going to be dV by V within the limits Vi to Vf. This is going to be the natural log of Vf over Vi. Fine. So now if we change this into the log to the power base 10, sorry, what we will be getting is work reversible. This will be equal to minus 2.303 nRT log Vf over Vi. So this is now work which we have for a reversible process. Okay, so this is also one of the equations for that, this is also one of the equations for that, and this is the equation that we are going to generally use whenever we will be given a specific temperature for the process, the initial and the final volume. Now instead of the initial and the final volume for the process, what can be given to you is also the initial and the final pressure for the process. And from the Boyle's law, what you know is for an ideal gas at constant temperature, P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. So what will be the value of, so if V2 is V final and V1 is V initial. Okay, so we want V final over V initial, that means we want V2 over P1. Okay, so we have taken this side and P2 will be going to this side. So what we will be getting is P1 over P2 is equal to V2 over V1. So this means that the initial pressure over the final pressure, this is equal to the final volume over the initial volume. So this is the relation that we have. So instead of this, now I can put the pressure terms as well. So what I will be getting over here is that work reversible, this will be equal to minus 2.303 nRT log of Pi over Pf. Okay, so I hope you will remember now these are the expressions that we have for an isothermal reversible work. This is the expression that we have along with this expression for a reversible work. So this is also expression for reversible work. This is the expression that we have for reversible work in case of an ideal gas now. Okay. So this is something that you have to remember. This is expression for total work. It can be for any process. This is valid for any process, this one. Okay, this expression is for reversible work, and this is going to be for any gas. It can be an ideal gas, it can be a non-ideal gas as well. When we have an ideal gas, this is going to be the expression that we will be using, right? This is for an ideal gas. And then we have an isothermal condition. Well, these are the expressions that we will be using. Okay, so I hope you will remember this. You can put out all your notes, important things that you have to remember so that you do not get confused. There can be many choices given to you in the examination. Even the expression can be asked. What is the expression for an ideal gas? What is the total expression, total work done for any thermodynamic process? So you should be able to understand each and every step that we are doing, just not only the formulas that we have. Okay, so I hope first of all now this is clear to you. So now you know what do we mean by an isothermal process. You know what do we mean by a reversible process. You also know what do we mean by an isothermal reversible process. So now let us make a comparison between isothermal reversible expansion and compression. When the gas is expanding, it is going to be work done by the system. When the gas is getting compressed, it is work done on the system. So let us just make a comparison of the two processes. So first of all, what you can see is that here we have a cylinder in which the piston is at a higher level in the initial state and it is reached up to a lower level in the final state. So what this means is here the volume of the initial state is going to be more than the volume of the final state. So what is happening? Well, in this case, we are having a compression. A compression is happening. This is going to happen at a same temperature, constant temperature. And because this is going to be a reversible process, so the process is going to take place in an infinite number of steps. It is going to be a very slow process. So the piston is going to move very slowly and reach up to the final level of the piston. So that do we mean by the reversible process. So here what we will be having is V1 is going to be greater than V2. Why is, well, the piston moved down. It has moved down because on the initial state, the pressure of the gas was equal to the external pressure. But then we increased the pressure from outside, so the piston started moving inwards. So this means the process is happening when the external pressure, this was greater than the pressure of the gas. But now, because this is a reversible process, the process is happening very slowly. So this means that the difference between the external pressure and the pressure of the gas is not much. Right? So we can say that external pressure is going to be greater than the pressure of the gas by just a small amount dP. And as this dP is very small, we can also say that the P external, this is equal to pressure of the gas, just almost equal. The difference is so small between them. So we can just say if we have some value of external pressure, well, that will be equal to the pressure of the gas also. All right, and the work we have calculated for a reversible process as P gas into dV, integral of V1 to Vi with a V2 with a negative sign. So I hope this is all clear. We've just now done the derivation. Now if it is going to be at the same temperature, you can have the pressure of the gas being replaced by nR T by V, and again the various steps that we just now did. So that I have not written over here. So I hope that is going to be clear to you that how further you can move with this. So the same expressions you can write over here also. The difference over here that you have to remember is that here we have V1 is going to be greater than V2. So delta V value or the dV value, well, this is going to be a negative term. V2 minus V1 will be negative, and negative when they will be multiplying, the work done value that you will be getting is going to be positive, right? So work done positive means what? Well, work is being done on the system. The system's energy is going to increase, right? But because this is going to be a isothermal process, so the amount of energy that is being increased will be liberated out as the amount of heat, so that the internal energy of the system remains constant. So delta U over here, this will be 0 because we have at the same temperature that the process is taking place. So delta T is 0. So delta T is 0. So internal energy will also remain the same. Whatever work has been done on the system, well, this is going to be liberated out as work. Heat. So we have work to be positive and heat is going to go out of the system. So Q is going to be negative. So heat is going to be evolved from the system. Okay, so this is certain more things that you have to remember over here. And next we have is the isothermal reversible now expansion. So here you can see that V1, this is going to be less than V2. Right, so this is going to be an expansion that is taking place. In the final volume, this is greater than the initial volume. And how can this expansion take place? Only when the pressure of the gas, this will be greater than the external pressure. But again, because this is a reversible process, so the external pressure and the pressure of the gas, they are going to be almost equal. But in this case, the external pressure, this is going to be less than the pressure of the gas by this small amount dP. Again, because dP is very small, so the external pressure we can say is going to be equal to the pressure of the gas. So this you find that in both the cases, whether an expansion is taking place or the compression is taking place, we find that the external pressure, this is going to be equal to the pressure of the gas at all the equilibrium steps, right? So again, the value of work done is going to be the same expression that we have calculated for the reversible process and for the isothermal reversible process also. But in this case, because V2 is greater than V1, so this dV is going to be positive and a negative sign in front, well, the work is going to be negative. Is this clear to you people? That work is going to be negative over here. So negative work done is meaning that this is going to be work done by the system. And work done by the system is going to decrease the energy of the system. But because the energy of the system has to remain constant, because the temperature has to remain constant, well, the amount of energy that is the system is losing because of work, well, the system is going to gain that energy in amount, the same amount of heat. So plus Q is going to be equal to minus W. I will be talking again about all of this when I will be talking about the first law of thermodynamics. So again, that would be making it more easy for you people to remember at that time. Okay, now next we come up to the plots that we have for both the processes. So here what you can see is essentially that we have the same two plots, right? The same two plots are here because this was the initial state of the system for process. So this is the process where we have a V1 and a P1, and this is the where we have a P2 and a V2. So here the initial state, we have this to be the final state of the system in the expansion that is happening, and whatever was the final state, here it is the initial state. So when the initial and the final states, they are the same, well, the plot is going to look to you to be the similar only. We have the same values of P1 and P2, just we have interchanged them in the two plots. Okay, and this is because I wanted to show you very important result over here. Otherwise, a compression can be happening between any two values of pressure and volume, and an expansion between any two values. Okay, so now let us just talk about these two plots first of all separately and then together. So what you have to remember is that here we are starting the process from B to A, and this process is happening from A to B. Okay, so at B the pressure was P1 and the volume was V1, and this V1 is decreasing to V2 when it reaches up to point A and the pressure becomes P2. So this over here, the volume has decreased, so this is compression, and the pressure, this is going to increase because we know that P1 V1 will be equal to P2 P2 at the same temperature conditions, and we will be getting a reverse hyperbola graph according to the Boyle's law. So I hope you all remember the Boyle's law. So Boyle's law, P1 V1 equal to P2 V2. Okay, so this is the reverse hyperbola graph that we have. Now what about the work which is going to be done in this process? So what we say is that supposedly, I take a small fragment of this process that is taking place. So I can say that the pressure between the 2 points, because the change is going to be very small, so the pressure is going to be equal, almost equal. So if that pressure is supposedly P, okay, and the change in volume, if I call this to be a V, change in volume to be a very small change in volume, this is dV, right? So when we are going to do the complete process, it is going to be just adding up of these areas, small little rectangles that we will be adding up. And what is going to be the area of a rectangle? It is going to be length into breadth, right? So at every point we can say that the area, if I draw this whole process into small little areas, at all little small areas, what we will be getting is P into dV, P into dV, and that we are going to sum up as an integral from V1 to V2, right? That you are seeing over here as well. Okay, so this means that if we want to find out the area, if we find out the area of this plot under the PV diagram from point A, B, C, D, well, this whole area that we have, well, this is going to be the area A, B, C, D. This is the area under the PV curve. This will give us the work done in the process. Okay. Similarly, if you look at the compression process, well, the process is now happening from A to B. The pressure is decreasing from P1 to P2. The volume is increasing from V1 to V2. But again, at every step, again, we can say that the pressure is almost going to be equal, and we can divide this into small little areas, right? And if we add up all these areas, well, what we will be again getting is the work done for the isothermal reversible expansion. So in both the cases, whether we are going from A to B, whether a compression, a B to A when a compression is happening, or when we are going from A to B when an expansion is happening, well, we have the work done to be area of this PV diagram. Right? In both the cases, the same area that you are getting. What is the difference? Well, the difference is going to be in the sign. Here, the work, the whatever value, if it is going to be coming as some x joules, right? So here it is going to be plus x, and here it is going to be minus x. This is the only difference in case of an isothermal reversible expansion and compression that is taking place. The magnitude of the work done is going to be the same. The magnitude, you can get it from the area under the PV curve. The sign is going to be different. It will be negative in case of an expansion and positive in case of a compression. Okay, so I hope this will be clear to you. You will remember this because these are very important things that you have to remember. Okay, that is why I'm spending so much time explaining you all of this. So next, now let us see a few practice problems based upon the isothermal reversible expansion and compression processes, and the remaining part of the story, that is going to be isothermal irreversible process. Well, we will be discussing it in the next lecture. So let us see first question that we have. You have to calculate the work Q and delta U when 0.75 mole of an ideal gases expands isothermally and reversibly at 27 degrees Celsius from a volume of 15 liter to 25 liters. So here in this question, what we can understand is, first of all, the isothermal process is taking place. It is an isothermal reversible process. This is taking place, and the volume is increasing from 15 liter to 25 liters. So this means that an expansion is taking place. So what do you have to do to find out the work done? Well, you have to simply put down the formula for the isothermal reversible expansion, and that is going to be equal to W is equal to minus 2.303 nRT log of V final over V initial, right? And just when you're going to put down the values, well, you have N to be equal to 0.75 mole. The initial volume is 15 liter. The final volume is 25 liters. The temperature is 27 degrees Celsius. So add 273 because you have to do it at kelvins. So this will be 300 Kelvin, and the value of R is going to be 8.314 per Kelvin per mole, right? So this is the values that you have, and you're going to just simply put down these values, and the answer that you will be getting is going to be equal to minus 955.5 joules. And here you can see that the negative sign has come for an expansion process. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Now the next we have to find out Q. So Q that I told you is Q and U, delta U also, that in case of an isothermal process, the delta U is going to be equal to 0 because there is going to be no change in the internal energy of the system. So whatever work is being done by the system, that much amount of heat is going to enter into the system as well. So that is going to be the delta U is going to be equal to 0, and Q is therefore going to be equal to minus W plus 955.5 joules. We have a formula for delta U, work, and Q, which I have not still told you, and that is what we have as the first law of thermodynamics. So then it is going to be easy for you to do a relationship between delta U, work, and the amount of heat for any process as well. This I have explained you so you can understand what is going to be in an isothermal expansion or a compression. Delta U is going to be equal to 0, and whatever is going to be the amount of work done, it is going to be the same amount of heat that is going to be entering or leaving the system. So just the sign is going to be the opposite. Okay. Now the next question is that we have 2 moles of an ideal gas which is initially at a temperature of 27 degrees Celsius and 1 atmospheric pressure, and this is compressed isothermally and reversibly till the final pressure of the gas this becomes 10 atmosphere, and again you have to calculate W, Q and delta U for the process. So again, what do you have? What process this is? This is an isothermal reversible compression that is taking place. So for an isothermal reversible compression, what is going to be the value of work done? It is going to be just similar to that of expansion, right? So it is going to be minus 2.303 nRT log of Vf over Vi. But in the question, what is given to us is not a change in volume, but this is given to us as a change in pressure now. And we know that at same temperature for the same amount of gas, P1 V1 is going to be equal to P2 V2. So here we can just change the value of Vf over Vi to be equal to Pi over Pf, as we have already discussed in the lecture. So the work done, this is going to be equal to minus 2.303 nRT log Pi over Pf. So now you have the values given to you. Number of moles is 2 moles. Initial pressure is 1 atmosphere. The final pressure is 10 atmosphere. The temperature 27 degrees Celsius. So that is going to be 300 Kelvin. And R, the value is going to be, for calculating the work done in joules, you have to take the value as 8.314, right? So when we are going to put down these values, we will find the work done to be now 11,488 joules, right? So this is the work done, and again now you can see that this is a positive work. So this is going to be work done on the system. This is a compression that is taking place. And what about the internal energy? Again, because this is an isothermal process, so internal energy is going to be equal to 0. And what about the heat? Well, if work is done on the system, well, a same amount of heat is going to leave the system so that the internal energy remains the same. So Q is going to be again equal to minus W, and the value therefore is going to be equal to minus 11,488 joules. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Let us see another one. The next question says that carbon monoxide gas this expands isothermally and reversibly at 27 degrees Celsius from a volume of 10 liters to 20 liters, and the work obtained is 4.754 kilojoules. You have to calculate the number of moles of the gas. So again, this is a isothermal reversible expansion that is taking place. So what is going to be the formula for the work done that you will be applying? It will be minus 2.303 nRT log Vf over Vi. And when you are going to put down the various values that have been given to you, well, what you will be getting is the number of moles of the gas. This will come up as 2.75 moles. Okay, so I hope now this one is also an easy one. These are direct applications of the formulas itself. So the last question for today, we have 10 gram of argon gas compressed isothermally and reversibly initially at 27 degrees Celsius from 10 liters to 5 liters. You have to calculate W, Q and delta U for the process. The value of R, now this is given as 2 calories per Kelvin per mole. So the answer for work done is also going to come down in calories only and not joules. That you have to remember in case in your multiple choice question. Now the answer for work done, the choices that comes as in joules, then you will have to change the calories into joules. So remember all the values that are coming for R, you will be getting the work done also in that same way only. So that the units are going to be very important. And log 2 to the base 10, this is given to be as 0.3 and the atomic weight of argon is given to be 40. So here again, because it is an isothermal reversible compression that is taking place, so the formula for work done is again going to be minus 2.303 nRT log of Vf over Vi. So when you're going to put down the values, well, first of all you will have to calculate the number of moles from the mass of the gas given divided by the atomic weight. So here you will be calculating the number of moles, that will come as 10 by 40. Put down the rest of the values, convert 27 degrees into kelvins as 300 Kelvin. Well, the value of work done, this comes up as 103.991 calories. Okay, so this is what is going to be work done in the process, and because this is a positive value, again you can see that this is work done on the system and this is compression of the gas. Okay, so I hope now the sign conventions, they are also getting clear to you. All right, and then we have to again calculate delta U. So because this is an isothermal process, so the internal energy of the system is going to remain again the same. So that will be equal to 0, and Q therefore is going to be equal to minus W, right? And therefore the value is going to be minus 103.999 calories. So this means whatever is going to be work done on the system, well, this is going to leave the system in the form of heat that is going to be evolved. Okay, so this mass energy is going to leave the system in form of heat, and this mass energy is going to enter the system in form of work done, and the net change in the internal energy of the system, this is going to remain the same in an isothermal process. Okay, so I hope now the concept that is all clear to you, and the next lecture we will be talking about again the isothermal process, but this time it will be irreversible. So that would be all for this lecture. I hope you enjoyed your learning with me, and as I've already told you that we will be carrying on this lecture further in the next one, where we will be talking about the isothermal irreversible process, the work done in an isothermal irreversible process, and then we will be doing a comparison between the isothermal reversible and the irreversible processes. Again, the concepts are going to be very important, so please do not miss the lecture. So see you again. Have a nice day. God bless you.